Good day everyone, we are the group 7 and we will discuss about the interfaces and its type. I am Reynalyn Banyaga who will discuss about introduction of interfaces and its type. Overview. Interface types highlight the main design and research consideration for each of the different interfaces. Consider which interface is best for a given application or activity. In introduction, when considering how to solve a user problem, the default solution that many developers choose to decide is an app that can run on a smartphone. Making this easier, still are many easy-to-use app developer tools that can freely downloaded. It is hardly surprising, therefore, to see just how many apps there in the world. The proliferation of technological developments has encouraged different ways of thinking about interaction design. For example, input can be a mouse, touchpad, pens, remote controllers, joystick, RFID readers, gesture, and even brain-computer interaction. Output is equally diverse, appearing in the form of graphical interfaces, speech, mixed realities, augmented realities, tangible interfaces, wearable computing, and more. 20 interfaces types covered. The number 1 is command, graphical, multimedia, virtual reality, web, mobile, appliances, voice, pen, touch, gesture, haptic, multimodal, shareable, tangible, augmented reality, wearables, robot and drones, brain-computer interaction, and also smart. Command line interfaces. Command such as abbreviation, for instance, type in the prompt to which the system responds. For example, by listing current files. Some are hard wired at keyboard, while others can be assigned to keys. Efficient, precise, and fast. Large overhead to learning set of commands. Command line interface allow the user interaction with the computer system. The user typing in commands instruction, the computer execute the commands and provide textual output. Second live command line-based interface for visually impaired user. Command can be issued to enable the user to move their avatar around, interact with others, and find out about the environment in which they are located. Show that the user has issued the command for their avatar to smile and say hello to the other avatar who are sitting a lab fire. Research and design consideration. Form. Name types and structure are key research questions. Consistency is most important design principle. For example, always use the first letter of command. Command interfaces popular for web scripting. Graphical user interfaces. Xerox Star first WIM gave the rise to GUIs. The original GUI, or graphical user interface, was called a WIM. Windows icon, menus, and pointer. The graphical user interface is a very friendly way for people to interact with the computer because it makes use of pictures, graphics, and icons. Windows, section of the screen that can be scrolled, stretched, overlapped, open and close, and move around the screen using the mouse. Icon, pictogram that represent application, object commands, and tools that were open when clicked on. Menus, list of the options that can be scrolled through and selected. Pointing device, a mouse controlling the cursor as a point of entry to the windows, menus, and icon on the screen. Example for first generation GUI. The first generation of web interfaces were primarily boxy in design. User interaction took place through a combination of windows, scroll bars, checkboxes, panels, palettes, and dialog boxes that appeared on the screen in various. Developers were largely constrained by the set of widgets available to them, of which the dialog box was most prominent. Nowadays, GUIs have been adapted for mobile and touch screen instead of using mouse and keyboard as input. The default action for most users is to swipe and touch using a single finger when browsing and interacting with digital content. Simple smartwatch menus with 1, 2, or 3 options. The 1 action is new message, 2 action, weekly summary, and change move goal. The 3 action, condition, rain, and temperature. The basic building block of the web are still part of the modern GUI, used as part of a display, but they have evolved into a number of different forms and types. For example, there are now many different types of icons and menus, including audio icons and audio menus, 3D animated icons, and even tiny icons, based menus that can fit on into smartwatch.
I am Jericho de los Reyes and I will continue the report. Window design. Windows were invented to overcome the physical constraints of a computer display. They enable more information to be viewed and tasks to be performed. Scroll bars within windows enable more information to be viewed. Multiple windows can make it difficult to find desired one. Listing, tabbing, and thumbnails are techniques that can help. A window design thumbnails of a top website visit and suggest highlights. This example is a technique used for easily find the website it wants to search. Next, selecting a country from a scrolling windows. And this is an example of a scrolling. Scrolling can be done with or without user intervention. These features is provided by most applications and smart devices that can display contents that are too big to fit entirely on the screen. Next, this is example of listing. Listing is an ordered collection. The user of this interface has precise control over where in the list each element is inserted. The user can access elements by their integer index and search for elements in the list. Menu styles. First, plot list, good for showing large number of options that at the same time when display is small. Plot list component display the similar structured data in a scrollable list. It works well for a large list of data where the number of list items might change over time. The plot list show only the rendered elements which are currently displaying on the screen, not at all elements of the list at once. Next, drop down. Show more options on the same screen. For example, cascading. This drop-down is a list of choices that appears on a computer where a person clicks the menu title. Next, pop-up. When pressed Command key for relevant option. A pop-up menu that suddenly appears when an option is selected. Next, contextual. Provide access to open use commands associated with a particular item. Next, collapsible. Toggles between plus and minus icons on a header to expand the contract its content. And last, mega. All options show using 2D drop-down layout. Template of collapsible menu. A collapsible list show a hide given section of a content when its heading is clicked, like in this example. Next, a mega menu. A mega menu is that they're comprehensive and ensure all pages of your site are included within the navigation menu. Users will always have easy access to every page on your site, helping them to quickly find what they want. Next, research and design considerations. First, window management. Enable users to move fluidly between different windows and monitors. Next, how to switch attention between windows without getting distracted. Design and principles of spacing, grouping, and simplicity should be used. Which term to be used for menu option? For example, front versus bring to front. Mega menus easier to navigate than drop-down ones. Icon design. Icons are assumed to be easier to learn and remember than commands. Icons can be designed to be compact and variably positioned on a screen. Now, pervasive is in every interface. For example, they represent desktop objects, tools, for example, a paintbrush, applications, for instance, a web browser, and operations such as cut, paste, next, accept, and change. Icons are essential part of many user interface, visually representing objects, action, and ideas. When done correctly, they communicate the core idea and intent of a product or action, and they bring a lot of nice benefits to user interfaces, such as saving screen real estate and enhancing aesthetic appeal.
So I am Jenny May Ayo and I will continue this report. Icon. Since the Xerox Star days, icon have changed in their look and feel. Black and white. Color, shadowing, photorealistic, images, 3D rendering, and animation. So many designed to be very detailed and animated, making them both visually attractive and informative. Can be highly innovating, emotionally appealing, and feel alive. Next is icon forms. The mapping between the representation and underlying referent can be similar. For example, a picture of a file to represent the object file. Analogical, for instance, and feature of a pair of scissors to represent cut. Arbitrary, such as the use of an X to represent delete. The most effective icons are similar ones. Many operations are actions, making it more difficult to represent them. Use a combination of objects and symbols that capture the silent part of an action. So these are the two types of icon style. These are the flat 2D icons for a smartphone and a smartwatch. Basic edit icons that appear on the iPhone app. Research and design consideration. There is a wealth of resources for creating icons. Guideline, style guides, icon builders, libraries, online tutorials. Text labels can be used alongside icons to help identification for a small icon sets. For large icon sets, for instant photo editing or word processing, can use the hover function. Multimedia. Multimedia is a system of relaying information or entertainment that includes many different forms of communication, combines different media within a single interface with a various form of interactive. These are graphics, text, video, sounds, and animation. User click on links in an image or text, another part of the program. An animation or a video clip is played. User can return to where they were on move on another place. Can be provide better ways of represent information than a single media can. So pros and cons. Facilitate rapid access to multiple representation of information. Can provide better ways of representing information than can any media alone. Can be enable easier learning, better understanding, more engagement, and more pleasure. Can encourage user to explore different parts of game or story. So tendency to play video clips and animation while skimming through the accompanying text and diagrams. So multimedia learning app designed for tablet. Research and design consideration. This how to design multimedia to help user explore, keep track of, and integrate the multi-representation, provide hands-on interactives and stimulation that the user has to complete to solve a task, provide quizzes, electronic notebooks, and games. Multimedia good for supporting certain activity such as browsing but less optimal of reading at length. So virtual reality. So this environment with scenes and objects that appear to be real. Computer-generated graphical stimulation providing the illusion of participation in a synthetic environment rather than the external observation of such an environment. Provide new kinds of experience enabling user to interact with objects and navigate in 3D space. So, creating highly engaging user experience. So, this is the pros and cons. So, can have a higher level of fidelity with a object that they represent compared to multimedia. Includes a sense of presence where someone is totally engrossed by the experience. A state of consciousness, sense of being in a virtual environment. Provides different viewpoints, first and third person. Early head-mounted display were uncomfortable to wear and caused motion of sickness and disorientation. Lighter VR headsets are now available, so with more accurate head tracking. So application areas, video games, arcade games for social groups, therapy for fears, experience how others feel emotion, for example, empathy and compassion. Enrich user planning experience for travel destination, architecture, design, and education. So this is the polygon graphics used to represent avatars for the WeWait VR experience. Polygon graphics are used in a computer graphics to compile images that are three-dimensional in appearance. These are the research and design consideration. Much research on how to design safe and realistic VRs to facilitate training. For example, flying simulator. So to help people overcome their phobia. These are the example of spiders or talking in public. So design issues, how best to navigate through them, for instance, first versus third person. How to control interaction and movements, for example, by using head and body movements. How best to interact with information, for instance, by using keypads, pointing, and joystick buttons. So level of realism to aim for engender a sense of presence. So this is a website designed. So this refers to the design of websites that are displayed on the internet. So early websites were larger text-based providing hyperlinks. Concern was with how best to structure information to enable users to navigate and access them easily and quickly. So nowadays, more emphasis is on making a pages distinctive, striking, and aesthetically pleasing. Need to think of how to design information for multiple platforms, keyboards, or touch. For example, smartphones, tablet, and PCs. So usability versus aesthetic. So usability and aesthetic are the two most important factors in assessing the overall user experience for an application. So vanilla or multi-flavor design, easy of finding something versus aesthetic and enjoyable experience. So web design are thinking great literature, user read to web like a billboard going by a 60 miles an hour. Need to determine how to brand web page to catch and keep eyeballs. Breadcrumbs for navigation. So breadcrumbs is a feature usually located at the top of the web page and tells the user exactly what the pages they've been on and how they have ended up where they are. So breadcrumbs are category labels, enable user to look at other pages without losing track of where they have come from. Very usable, enable and one-click access to higher sites levels. Attract first-time visitors to continue browse a website having a view and landing page. In-your-face web ads. Web advertising is often interface and pervasive, flashing, aggressive, persistent, and annoying. Often requires action to get rid of what is alternative. Use of a ad blockers. So research and design consideration. Many books and guidelines on website design. Since 2011, three core question of consideration when designing any website. So number 1, where am I? Where can I go? What's here?
Good day everyone, I'm Luz Michaela Bagtas and I will discuss the mobile interfaces. Handheld devices intended to be used while on the move have become pervasive, increasingly used in all aspects of everyday and working life. For example, smartphones, fitness trackers, and smartwatches. Large sizes tablets used in mobile settings, including those used by flight attendants, marketing professionals, and at the car rental returns. These are the examples for mobile interfaces, the IBR app, and the QR code smartphones that usually using now. For the research and design consideration, mobile interfaces can be cumbersome to use for those with poor manual dexterity or fat fingers. Key concern is hit areas on the phone display that the user touches to make something happen, such as a key, an icon, a button, or an app. Space needs to be big enough for all fingers to press accurately. If too small, the user may accidentally press the wrong key. Pitch lock can be used to help designs right spacing. Minimum tapeable areas should be 44 frames and 44 for all controls. For the appliances, everyday devices and home, public places, or car. For example, washing machines, remotes, toaster, printers, and navigation system. And for personal devices, for instance, digital clock and digital cameras. Used for short periods, for example, starting the washing machines, watching a program, buying a ticket, changing the time, or taking a snapshot. Need to be usable with minimal, if any, learning. Changing the time or taking a snapshot. Need to be usable with minimal, if any, learning. This is the example for appliances. This picture is the simple toaster controller. For the research and design considerations, need to design a site interfaces with short interaction. Simple interfaces consider trade-off between soft and hard controls. For example, use of buttons or key, dials, or scrolling. For the voice user interfaces, involves a person talking with a spoken language app. For example, timetable, travel planner, or phone service. Use most for inquiring about specific information. For example, flight times or to perform a transaction such as buying a ticket. Also used by people with visual impairments. For example, speech recognition word processors, page scanner, web readers, and home control system. This is the example for the voice user interfaces. For the modeling human conversation, people often interrupt each other in a conversation, especially when ordering in a restaurant, rather than let the waiter go through all of the options. Speech technology has a similar feature called barge in. Users can choose an option before the system has finished listening all of the options available. For the structuring BUI dialogues, directed dialogues are where the system is in control of the conversation, where it's a specific question and requires specific response. More flexible systems allow the user to take the initiative. For example, I'd like to go to Paris next Monday for 2 weeks. But more chance of error since caller might assume that the system is like a human. Guided prompts can help callers back on back. For the example, sorry, I did not get all that. Did you say you wanted to flight next Monday? So that the human will answer for what his or her decision. For voice assistants, for example, Alexa, have become popular in many homes, allow all use rather than being single use, and so forth. Can encourage social and emotional bonding. Young children under 4, however, find it difficult to be understood by the voice assistant, frustrating for them. For the research and design considerations, how to design system that can keep conversation on track, help people navigate efficiently through a menu system, enable them to recover easily from errors, guide those who are vague or ambiguous in their request for information service. Type of voice actor, for example, male, female, neutral, or dialect. Do people prefer to listen to and are more efficient with a female or male voice? Northern or Southern accents. And of course, for pen-based devices, enable people to write, draw, select, and move objects at an interface using light pens or styluses. Capitalize on the well-known drawing skills developed from childhood. Digital ink, for example, Anoto. Use a combination or ordinary ink pen with digital camera that digitally records everything written the pen on special paper. So that this is the example for the Anoto pen. This is the internal components for the pen. Bluetooth, battery, ink, memory, processor, and of course, there's have a camera.
Good day everyone, my name is Micaela Almadin and I'll discuss the other parts of interfaces. So let's start with the advantages of AnotoPen. Advantages: allow user to annotate existing document quickly and easily. Can be used to fill in a paper-based forms that can readily be converted to a digital record using standard typeface. Can be used by remote teams to communicate and work on the same document. This is useful for a team who is working together and communicating to each other from different locations. One problem with using pen-based interaction on small screen is that sometimes it can be difficult to see options on the screen because a user hand can obscure part of it when writing. Touchscreens. Single touchscreens are used in walk-up kiosks, such as ticket machine and ATMs, to detect the presence and location of a person touch on the display. Multi-touch surfaces support a range of more dynamic fingertip actions, for example, swiping, clicking, pinching, pushing, and tapping. They do so by registering touches at multiple locations using a grid. Now used for many kinds of displays such as smartphone, iPads, tablets, and tabletops. Support 1 and 2 hand gesture including tapping, zooming, stretching, clicking, dwelling, and dragging. A multi-touch surface. provides fluid and direct style of interaction involving pre-hand and pen-based gesture for certain tasks. Core design concern includes whether size, orientation, and shape of touch display effect collaboration. Much faster to scroll through wheels, carousel, and bars of thumbnail image or list of options by finger flicking. Gesture need to be learned for multi-touch, so a small set of gesture per common command is preferable. More cumbersome, error-prone, and slower to type using a virtual keyboard on a touch display than using a physical keyboard. Gesture-based system. Gesture involve moving arms and hand to communicate. Uses camera recognition, sensor, and computer vision techniques. Recognize people's arm and hand gesture in a room. Gesture need to be presented sequentially to be understood compared with the way sentences are constructed. Gestures used in the operating theater. Recognizes core gestures for manipulating MRI or CT images using Microsoft Kinect. One area where gesture interaction has been developed is in the operating room. Surgeons need to keep their hands sterile during operation, but also need to be able to look at X-ray and scan during an operation. However, after being scrubbed and gloved, they need to avoid touching any keyboards, phones, and other non-sterile surface. A far from ideal workaround is to pull their gowns over the hands and manipulate a mouse through the gown. As an alternative, develop a touchless gesture-based system using Microsoft Kinect technology, which recognizes a range of gesture that surgeon could use to interact with and manipulate MRI or CT images, including single-handed gesture for moving forward or backward through images, and two-handed gesture for zooming and panning. A key design concern for using gestural input is to consider how computer system recognizes and delineates the user gesture. In particular, how does it determine the start and end point of a hand or arm movement? And how does it know the difference between didactic gesture, a deliberate pointing movement, and hand waving, an unconscious gesticulation that is used to emphasize what is being said verbally? In addition to being used as a form of input, gesture can be presented as output to show real-time avatar movement or someone's own arm movement. Smartphone, laptop, and some smart speaker have cameras that can perceive 3 dimension and record a depth for every pixel. This can be used to create representation for someone in a scene, for example, how they are posing and moving, and also to respond to their gesture. One design question that this raises is how realistic must the mirror graphical representation of the user be in order for them to be believable? Haptic interfaces provide tactile feedback by applying vibration and forces to a person's body, using actuators that are embedded in their clothing or a device they are carrying, such as smartphone. Vibrotactile feedback can be used to simulate the sense of touch between remote people who want to communicate. Ultrahaptic creates the illusion of touch in midair using ultrasound to make the illusion of 3D shape. Computer keyboards, mice, and trackballs constitute relatively simple haptic interfaces. Other example of haptic interfaces is glove, exoskeleton, the track hand posture, and joystick that can reflect forces back to the user. Real-time vibrotactile feedback provides nudges when playing violin incorrectly, uses motion capture to sense arm movements that deviate from model. Nudges are short vibration on arms and hand. Vibrotactile feedback is feeling sounds. Sounds is a form of mechanical energy that consists of back and forth motion of a material. Usually, we think sound waves traveling through air, but they can also travel through almost any other material, including human skin. Exoskeleton with artificial muscle that uses bubble haptic feedback. Wearable exoskeleton are electromechanical systems designed to assist, augment, or enhance motion and mobility in variety of human motion application and scenarios. Haptic are also being embedded into clothing, sometimes called exoskeleton, inspired by the right trouser in the Wallace and Gromit animated short movie. Jonathan Roster and his team developed a new kind of exoskeleton that can help people stand up and move around using artificial muscle that consists of air bubbles which are activated using tiny electric motors. These are stiff or relaxed using grabbing parts to make the trouser move. One application area is to help people who have walking difficulties and those who need to exercise but find it difficult to do so. A key design question is where best to place actuator on body, whether to use single or sequences of touches, when to buzz and how intense. What does the wearer feel it in different contexts, and what kind of new smartphone and smartwatch apps can use vibrotactile creatively. For example, slow tapping to feel like water drops meant to indicate that it's about to rain, and heavy tapping to indicate a thunderstorm is looming. Multimodal interfaces provide enriched user experiences by multiplying how information is experienced and detected using different modalities such as touch, sight, sound, and speech. Support more flexible, efficient, and expressive means of human-computer interaction. Most common is speech and vision, can be combined with multi-sensor input to enable other aspects of human body to be tracked. For example, eye gaze, facial expression, and lip movements. Provide inputs for customizing user interface. Multimodal interfaces allow people to use multiple inputs at once to carry out tasks on mobile device. The advantages of multimodality is that the weakness of one input is overcome by the strength of another. Tracking a person's movement. Kinect camera can detect multimodal input in real time, using RGA camera for facial recognition and gesture, depth camera for movement tracking, and microphones for voice recognition. Used to build model of a person and represented as avatar on display, programmed to move just like them. Need to recognize and analyze user behavior, for example, speech, gesture, handwriting, or eye gaze. Much harder to calibrate this than single modality system. A key research question is what is gained from combining different inputs and outputs? And is talking and gesturing, as humans do with other humans, a natural way of interacting with a computer? Shareable interfaces, designed for more than one person to use, provide multiple inputs and sometimes allow simultaneously input by co-located groups. Large wall display, where people use their own pens or gestures. Interactive tabletops, where small groups interact with information using their fingertips. For example, Diamond Touch, Smart Table, and Surface. The advantages of shareable interfaces is that they provide a large interactional space that can support flexible group working, enabling groups to create content together at the same time. Compared with co-located group trying to work around single-user PC or laptop, where typically one person takes control, make it more difficult for others to take part.
My name is April Rose Bipiolino and I will discuss a smartboard and interactive tabletop interface. A smartboard is an interactive whiteboard that uses touch detection for user input. The use is the same way as you use a computer with your finger instead of a mouse. To edit a document, browse the website, and collaborate on project. The benefits of a smartboard are provide a large interactional space that can support flexible group working, can be used by multiple users, can point and touch information being displayed, simultaneously view the interaction and have the same shared point of reference as others, can support more equitable participation compared with groups using single PC. Research and design consideration. Core design concerns include whether size, orientation, and shape of display have an effect of collaboration. Horizontal surface compared with vertical ones support more turn-taking and collaborative working in co-located groups. Provide larger size tabletops does not improve group working but encourage more division of labor. Having both personal and shared space enable group to work on their own and in a group. Cross-device systems have been developed to support seamless switching between these, for example, surface constellation. Tangible interfaces, type of sensor-based interaction where physical objects, for example, bricks, are coupled with digital representation. When a person manipulates the physical objects, it causes a digital effects to occur, for example, an animation. Digital effects can take place in a number of media and places, or they can be embedded in physical objects. Learning to code and create with the tangible magic cubes. Magic cube that uses recreative encoding through a range of exciting and sometimes mysterious making and programming activities. The benefits of tangible magic cube are can be held in one or both hand and combined and manipulated in way not possible using their interfaces. Allow for more than one person to explore the interface together. Objects can be placed on the top of each other, beside of each other, and inside each other. Encourage different ways of representing and exploring a problem space. People are able to see and understand situation differently. Can lead to greater insight, learning, and problem solving with other kind of interfaces. Can be facilitate creativity and reflection. Box, and tangible system that gather opinions at event through playful and engaging interaction. Box is a full of size free product and you get to review and keep. These boxes are often based on a theme but are sometimes single product or a group of the same company. These are truly some awesome boxes and can contain hundreds of dollars worth of free stuff. Research and design consideration. What kinds of conceptual frameworks to use to help in the identify novels and specific features? What kind of coupling to use between the physical action and digital effect? If it's to support learning, then an explicit mapping between action and effect is critical. If it's an entertainment, then it can be better to design it more implicit and unexpected. What kind of physical artifact to use? Bricks, cubes, and other component sets are most commonly used because of flexibility and simplicity. Stickies and cardboard tokens can be also used for placing materials onto a surface. With what kind of digital output should tangible interfaces be combined? Augmented reality. Augmented reality, virtual representation are superimposed on physical devices and objects. Pokemon Go made it a household game. Use smartphone camera and GPS to place virtual character onto objects in the environment as if they really are there. Many other applications including medicine, navigation, air traffic control, games, and everyday other examples. In medicine, virtual objects, for example, X-ray and scans, are overlaid on part of patient body, aid to physician understanding of what is being examined or operated. In air traffic control, dynamic information about aircraft overlaid on a video screen showing the real planes and so on landing, taking off, and taxiing help identity plane difficult to make out. Augmented reality overlay on a car windshield. AR that uses forward-facing camera. Enable virtual try-on. For example, Snapchat filter. 80 mirror set up in retail stores for trying on makeup, sunglasses, jewelry. Convenient, engaging, and easy to compare more choices. But cannot feel the weight, texture, or smell of what is being tried on. Can be used to enable user to step into a character, for example, David Bowie, Queen Victoria. Singers trying on visual look up to character from the opera Hamilton. Research and design consideration. What kind of digital augmentation? When and where in physical environment? Need to stand up but not distract from ongoing tasks. Need to be able to align with real-world objects. What happens if AR is slightly off? What kind of devices? Smartphone, tablet, head-up display, or other?
Good day, I am Erica Bueno and I will discuss the rest about our group topic. Wearables. First developments were head and eyewear mounted cameras that enabled user to record what was seen and to access digital information. So, example nitong wearables is yung head and eyewear mounted cameras. Sa head mounted cameras, example nito is yung GoPro. Tapos, sa eyewear mounted camera naman is ito, yung salamin. Tapos may naka-include siya na maliit na camera dito sa bandang gilid. So, para saan nga ba ito ginagamit? Ginagamit to to record what is happening or what could happen while someone is on the move. Parang sa GoPro, diba? Ginagamit siya ng mga cyclists and drivers para ma-record yung mga dinadaanan nila. And sobrang laking tulong din ito since pwede niyang ma-record pati yung mga unexpected happening. Yung mga unexpected accidents. Tapos, since then, jewelry, head-mounted caps, smart fabrics, glasses, shoes, and jackets have all been used. Provides the user with a means of interacting with digital information while on the move. Applications include automatic diaries, tour guides, cycle indicators, and fashion clothing. So, yung smart fabrics are intelligent structures or fabrics that can sense changes in their surroundings and react to them. Kadalasan ginagamit naman to ng mga athletes since this type of fabric can sense body temperature. Nag-a-adjust siya depende sa nasa-sense niyang lagay nung may gamit sa kanya. Google Glass 2014. Why was there so much excitement and concern about people filming what they could see right in front of them? So, bakit nga ba? Kadalasan, di ba, nagre-record yung mga nagro-road trip or kahit yung mga bumibiyahe lang na may pupuntahan para sa mga memories na rin and for safety since pwede nga ma-record pati yung mga unexpected emergencies. Pwedeng maging source to of information sa mga na-record na accidents. Research and design considerations. Comfort needs to be light, small, and not get in the way. Fashionable and preferably hidden in the clothing. Hygiene. Is it possible to wash or clean the clothing once worn? Ease of wear. How easy is it to remove the electronic gadgetry and replace it? Usability. How does the user control the devices that are embedded in the clothing? Robots. Main types. Remote robots used in hazardous settings can be controlled to investigate bombs and other dangerous materials. Yung remote robots, this type of robots used for handling hazardous materials to get people out of dangerous situations. Domestic robots, helping around the house, can pick up objects and to daily chores like vacuuming. Yung domestic robots naman is primarily used for household chores since it is automatically adjust between the floor types and also it can pick up the pet's hair. Pet robots as human companions have therapeutic qualities helping to reduce stress and loneliness. Yung pet robots naman, it can bring comforts, companionships, and lower stress while helping the individual relax and feel calm. Sociable robots that work collaboratively with humans encourage social behaviors. A robot or collaborative robot intended for direct human and robot interaction within a shared space. So, ito guys, yung example ng mga robots. Social robots na kinreate na kayang makipag-interact sa ating mga tao. Drones, unmanned aircraft that are controlled remotely and used in a number of contents. For example, entertainment such as carrying drinks and food to people at festivals and parties, agricultural applications such as flying them over vineyards and fields to collect data about crops, which is useful to farmers, helping to track poachers in wildlife parks in Africa. Can fly low and stream photos to a ground station where images can be stitched together into maps, can be used to determine the health of a crop or when it is the best time to harvest the crop. So, alam naman natin guys na drones are one of the most popular gadgets nowadays. Sobrang laking tulong din ng drone since ginagamit to take images and videos through bird's eye view. Para makita ng maayos ang isang lugar. Sabi rito, ini-stitch yung mga images para makakreate ng map. Siguro mga every 1 meter ganun. Or kung hanggang saan yung kayang matake nung drones. For entertainment and works, ginagamit naman to entertain and para na rin makatulong sa work. Nakaka-entertain naman nga kasi yun, diba? People would be amazed seeing drones serving their foods and drinks. Agricultural. Ginagamit na rin yung drone para makita ng mas madali at mas mabilis yung mga pananim. Sobrang helpful since pwedeng yung drone na lang ang gamitin para maglibot lalo na kung sobrang init o umuulan. Through drone na lang din titignan if pwede nang anihin o hindi pa yung mga tanim. Ito guys, yung example ng drones na ginagamit sa isang vineyard para maglibot, para makita yung nang maayos yung mga pananim. Research and design considerations. How do humans react to physical robots designed to exhibit behaviors, for example, making facial expressions compared with virtual ones? Should robots be designed to be human-like or look like and behave like robots that serve a clearly defined purpose? Should the interaction be designed to enable people to interact with the robot as if it was another human being or more human computer-like? For example, pressing buttons to issue commands. Is it acceptable to use unmanned drones to take a series of images or videos of fields, towns, and private property without permission or people knowing what is happening? Brain-computer interfaces. Brain-computer interfaces or BCI provide a communication pathway between a person's brainwaves and an external device such as a cursor on a screen. Person is trained to concentrate on the task, for example, moving the cursor. BCIs work through detecting changes in the neural functioning in the brain. BCIs apps, games, for example, Brain Ball, enable people who are paralyzed to control robots. BCI or brain-computer interfaces. Yung BCI, ginagamit to ng mga disabled person. May mga cerebral palsy, stroke, or spinal cord injury. Sila yung mga di na nagagalaw yung body parts nila. Kaya sila yung most likely to use this BCI since nagwo-work ito through thinking. Ginagamit siya ng mga paralyzed person. Sinusuot siya sa ulo like this one. May mga wire siya na nakakonect na nagde-detect ng brain moves para malaman yung gusto sabihin ng may gamit sa kanya. Smart interfaces. Smartphones, speakers, watches, cars, buildings, and sites. Smart refers to having some intelligence and connected to the internet and other devices. Yung smart interfaces naman, so dito naman, sa smart interfaces, samples nito is yung phones, speakers, watches, cars, buildings, and sites. Sa gadgets kasi, may mga naka-attach na HMI or human-machine interface. Yung HMI yung nagbibigay control between human and devices. HMI yung nakaka-sense para mag-trigger ng kilos sa isang device. Kung ano yung pipindutin mo or gagawin mo sa device, HMI yung may responsibility sa bawat command na yun. Context aware. Understand what is happening around them and execute appropriate actions. For example, a Nest thermostat. So, dito naman sa context aware, example is yung thermostat. Since may HMI nga guys, yung mga bawat gadgets na ginagamit natin. Yung thermostat, kaya rin nito ma-detect yung changes sa paligid. Net thermostat yung pinaka-the best example na ginamit since it is a self-learning Wi-Fi enabled that optimizes heating and cooling of its surrounding. Human building interaction. Buildings are designed to sense and act on behalf of the inhabitants but also allow them to have some control and interaction with the automated systems. Sa building naman, since buildings are designed as a human inhabitants, di lang to nagbabago dahil sa mga humans na nakikinabang dito, but also nakakonect din to sa mga automated systems like heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Which interface? Which interface to use will depend on task, user's context, cost, robustness, and so on. Is multimedia better than tangible interfaces for learning? Is speech as effective as a command-based interface? Is a multimodal interface more effective than a monomodal interface? Will wearable interfaces be better than mobile interfaces for helping people to find information in foreign cities? Are virtual environments the ultimate interface for playing games? Are shareable interfaces better at supporting communication and collaboration compared with using networked desktop PCs? Summary. Many innovative interfaces have emerged in the last 30 years, including speech, wearable, mobile, brain, and tangible. This raises many design and research questions as to decide which to use. For example, how best to represent information to the user so that they can carry out ongoing activity or task. New smart interfaces that are context-aware and monitor people, raising new ethical issue concerned with what data is being collected and what it is used for. So that's all for our group report, guys. Hope you have learned something today. Ariga, thanks!